Well, fellas, we in a Fred T sort of store, you know, here in Dallas at Central. You know what I mean? Freddie T, I don't know if you're going to make it down the stairs before you spend all your money.
I've already been talking to him. I'm trying to support because I really appreciate them giving us the opportunity to chill out in the space. They say, we got to put a care pack together. That's cool, but I want to spend some money too, so
yeah.
They got a lot I like.
Oh, no doubt.
Hold up. Limitless. Niggas to me kind pinning it. I fought to hear to witness it. Get my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, get me up. On the mission, get me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On the vision, I can trust. Trust. Limitless. Niggas to me kind pinning it. I fought to hear to witness it. Get my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, get me up. On the mission, get me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On the vision, I can trust. Trust. Limitless. Niggas to me kind pinning it. I fought to hear to witness it. Get my people feeling militant.
Welcome to the still only Emmy-nominated podcast, The Pivot. I'm Ryan Clark. This is Channing Crowder. That's Fred Taylor. For those of you who don't know, as far as Channing was concerned, we had the Emmy until we didn't. Talk a little bit about your first Emmy experience, bro.
I had my speech ready. I was going.
But you wasn't supposed to speak.
Who?
You, like, you know, so when you go to the Emmys, whoever is putting in your application, they say who will get an opportunity to speak.
I was about to talk.
So that's why you was trying to get to the stage first?
Yeah, because they want to play all the music, bro. I was headed that way. I was going to get me 10, 15 seconds in. I don't care who was going to talk. I was about to get it in. As soon as they put our little, what was it, the edited
series.
Edited series. I was walking down with my finger one finger in the air. I was walking down the stairs with a finger in there with my phone out. Then they said Real Sports with Brian Gomez.
Bro, first off, we in there with Real Sports. They're in Ukraine. They got bombs going off while they're doing their interviews. I mean, it was a very difficult category also, too, in last year of Real Sports. But I thought the whole experience was dope, man, to be there with y'all and to have people who are in the business see our quote-unquote little show, you know, the way that they do. But Freddie T was the hit. Boy, the aunties went crazy in the comments.
I can bring him.
Watch out, man. Y'all crazy.
Boy, Freddie T looked like old R&B.
Bro, Freddie was clean. But it was cool, man, to sit there with SVP, talk to him, sit there with all those guys. Ellie, you know, I love Mina. I love, like, to be in a room with all of those people.
Her name's Elle.
I call her Ellie.
He been saying that for 2 weeks now, Ellie.
Ellie Duncan.
You said it all night that night.
I was so excited to meet her. That's the first time I ever met her. But really, to be in a room like that, like you said, with our little show, you know how people try to diminish stuff. Got y'all little podcast. And be in a room like that, bro, that was amazing, man. I really enjoyed that. Down there, James Brown and all them, he got his, like, and really to be there with what we put together ourselves, man, that was an honor, man. I really enjoyed it. I had that one in the air until that one had to come on down. I had to walk back and sit my ass down.
You should have seen, you saw him, right?
Yeah.
You saw it. But nah, for me, I think, you know, just to see the rest of the team having an opportunity to enjoy everything. You know, Patrick, Matt, all of those guys, KK. You know, when we released the photos, people was like, I wouldn't imagine that was the little KK throwing rocks in Vegas.
Why? Because KK had on the two purses. You see what I'm saying? KK was out there different.
Nah, but to see them have an opportunity to just enjoy all of the hard works that they've done behind the scenes, I think that part was dope.
And AZ doing what she does, you know, editing it. So it is edited series, and that's her thing. Putting all the work in, doing that, man, like, Alicia Zubikowski's a bad man.
Yeah, man, I had a speech prepared, and that was going to be part of it. You only get 30 seconds, though, so you got to be really quick.
I will get me 10.
I would think from the standpoint of what this show is and the reason it's in that category is because we get to do the least. We get to show up, we get to prepare, we get to speak and be the faces of something that has ended up being so much bigger than I ever could have expected. But having all the people behind the scenes that had an opportunity to be there, would have had an opportunity to celebrate with us, talks about what team is. Speaking of team, right? People have had to be really good teammates in Kansas City. When Harrison Butker gave his commencement speech, and then later 2 weeks at one of his charity events, you know, spoke about it again. Now the teammates have had to talk about it. Obviously, if you're in Kansas City, you're going to go to Patrick Mahomes, who says, I judge him by the character he shows in this locker room. Andy Reid, who actually, as far as Andy Reid's demeanor is concerned, defended him vehemently in the media. Also, Travis Kelce to say, you know, there's a lot of things I don't agree with, but he's my teammate, him move forward. And it spilled over into Jason Kelce, who I thought handled it in a very Jason Kelce way. Like, he just made a joke. But also, too, his wife, Kylie, had given a speech the week later, and she tried to implore young women to be more than homemakers if they so choose. And all of that fallout, Chan, I think people do miss what a locker room is, though.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing, man. You get together in the locker room, Buck, he kicked the ball well. He's a top kicker. There's great receivers. There's great quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, probably the best I've seen in my life. You come together, and that's what you have to do, is come together with all your different things. I bring up Jay Feely, who's a friend of mine, and we're on different political sides of the entire spectrum, and Jay is very strong in his belief of politics. But when we're on the team together, bro, cool. You think that way? I disagree. We got to go win this game. We got to go work. We got to get together. And that's where the thing, like the locker room environment, is where it's so beautiful because of the fact that color, race, politics, all that stuff, you got to come together to have one goal of getting more points than them other people on the other side.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. Do we argue in the locker room? Yes. Do we disagree in the locker room? Yes. You know, I like to argue in the shower because I'm a shower talker. Can we argue in the shower about politics? Yes. But
No.
Sooner or later, we about to get on this field and we got 4 hours to go out here and whoop their ass.
Yeah.
And that's why the locker room environment, that's why people, I think our show's a part of it where we disagree on things, but it's still respect. Do I think what Butker said it makes sense? No. My goddamn wife works her ass off. But do I see where he's coming from? Yes. Because that's how he was grown. That's how he came up. That's what he believes. So believe that. I'll disagree with it, and we can move forward.
I think the whole locker room, angle, I think that was cool until you talked about arguing in the shower. We're not arguing in the shower.
You ain't talking in the shower?
No, not arguing in the shower. Like, we shouldn't even have a conversation in the shower. Like, what's up, Chan? And we out. We could do that outside the shower.
I actually really don't feel like you have to say what's up, because if we're in the shower after practice, I've seen you all day. We can actually just shower.
Like, if it's like, man, you saw that play? Yeah, bro, yeah, boom, and we out of the shower. But we're not doing all of that.
You got to pick up that tight end and hope.
No, but I think the locker room is one of the greatest, common denominators just in life. If you have an opportunity to experience the locker room and how it just brings everyone together in all walks of life in different sports, I think it's just a beautiful thing. I think as it relates to Harrison, his comments are his comments. That's his faith, that's his beliefs. And if he wasn't a Super Bowl winning punter, then I don't think it would be as big of a deal. The media, a lot of times, like to gaslight. They like to put more attention on specific, talks or speeches. And in that particular moment, I don't know if it was the greatest place for him to say those things, but that's his beliefs. That's his faith. And when we start questioning our faith and belief, then that's when we are lost as a person, right? So the ones who could take it, take it. If it didn't pertain to you, learn how to just get that out of your system. And I think that's what I'm good at. I know how to trim the fat. And I wish more people were able to do that. I know when to mind my business. I know when something's for me and when it's not. And if it wasn't for you, then that's that. Go live your life. That's his faith, that's his belief. If this is how he runs his household, that's what he thinks, then that's his household. If his wife missed out on her career opportunity and she's taking care of the family and she's doing a damn good job at that, that's a win-win for them. And much like it should be for anyone else that believes that way. Because some people don't want their wives to work. They want their wives to be the best homemaker, housewife, or whatever it might be, and that's fine. That might be her career to make sure these kids are good in this crazy-ass world. And again, I try to be so level-headed and open-minded just to respect other people's space. I respect Harrison's point of view on certain things, much like Kelce said. I don't agree with all of it. Some of it I might do, you know what I'm saying? Because I come up old school. I have certain beliefs, but I am grown enough and open-minded enough to know that if this is your way of life, this is what you want, please live it up to the best of your ability. And that's it for me.
I really always thought I was gonna be the breadwinner and my wife was gonna be a stay-at-home mother. She was gonna be a homemaker. That's what I thought. Growing up, I thought that. When I met Asia, Asia was like, no, I got degrees. I'm about to go use these degrees and earn bread. And I was like, okay, cool. So I adjusted my thoughts. So I wasn't like Harrison, his thing was, yeah, you gotta be there. No, you ain't gotta be there. I always thought that my wife was gonna raise the kids and I was gonna bring home the bacon. Mm-hmm. And Asia adjusted my thoughts. She was like, no, I like this, I like that. I wanna grind here, grind there. I was like, okay, well, so shit.
Because Asia gets a choice on who she wants to be.
You can grind together, so you gonna grind? Let's grind.
That's the point. I think looking at it from Jason Kelce's perspective, who had to sort of come out and clarify the way he and his wife run the house, he was in a difficult position. Like Jason's just off of being a part of the brotherhood of the NFL and the locker room. He's actually on a show with his real life brother who's teammates with Harrison Butker. So he handled it in a way like that he handles it. Like he used a joke and comedy to sort of move through and move on, which I think we need sometimes in society. We need to be able to laugh about things. But then there's the people who were, I guess, insulted or who did feel a way about what Harrison Butker says, and they want someone in his line or field of work to be able to say what it was. It was a conservative, politically driven speech that was costumed in a cap and gown and a tassel. It was Harrison Butker using, or Harrison Butker's discriminations, Harrison Butker's prejudices, his sort of misogyny wrapped up in masculinity, Catholicism, and Christianity. Because he starts out mostly talking about regulations and policies. What does that have to do with graduation? What does that have to do with Christianity? When we're talking about the way the country is ran, he talks about the things that happened during COVID. And then for most of the speech, he just attacks the leaders of the Catholic Church. But he does talk about the 7 deadly sins, and he says, not the pride that are part of the deadly sins that we dedicate a month to. That's actually not the pride that they were talking about in Proverbs. They weren't talking about that. They were talking about the pride that took over the devil and admonished him from heaven. You know, and I think we use the Bible in the ways that we want to use the Bible. Whatever happened to, in the beginning, God created man and man was good, and he created God in his image and likeness. That means all of us should be allowed to be who we are, and our job is to find the Christ in those people because they were created in his image. And our job is also to show them the Christ in us. And now I fall short of this all the time as a father, as a husband, as a Christian, as a man, but that's what the job is. That's what we are called to do. And now when you look at his comments about women, he said they were told a diabolical lie, which means it is wrong to be anything else but the truth. And he feels like his wife, Isabel, is the truth because she met a guy that would go on to kick on a team with one of the greatest coaches of all time, the best quarterback we've ever seen. So when he misses extra points and he misses PATs, as long as he makes the kick after Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid get them in field goal range to win a Super Bowl, he gets a job. By getting that job, he gets paid a certain amount of money that allows that woman who met her husband in middle school in a band class to stay at home. That's her choice. But the sort of politically driven rhetoric he spewed is the same one that won't allow a woman the choice over her body, but yet won't punish men more harshly for what they do to those bodies to put them in those positions. See, God also says that we can do all things through Christ that strengthens us. He says it in Philippians 4:13, which means me, you, and women. And so if a woman decides that she wants to be a CEO, if a woman decides that she wants to be a homemaker, she gets to do that, and she gets to tell us where she finds her worth, and it's our job to support her in that. And so I think in the end, I disagree with a ton of it, but I understand what you do from a locker room perspective. Because from a locker room perspective, you say, Harrison Butker ain't the worst I've seen in the locker room. But you also say you wish people could stand up and say, I disagree with the sentiment, I disagree with the action, I disagree with the opinion, but that's my teammate and we gotta go win the game. We should be able to say we disagree with domestic abuse. We should be able to say we disagree with sexual assault and not insult anybody because those things are wrong. But if this man is in my locker room, I'm gonna go out and try to win a football game with him. And that's where we are. And so for Jason Kelce, what he's shown me is he's a good teammate. He was a good teammate to his brother, who he's on the show with. He's a good teammate in the locker room. But in the end, he had to be a great teammate to his wife, which I think is the point Harrison Butker was trying to make. But my thing is this, for women, for the women who are listening to that, who can't have babies, for the women who are listening to that, who didn't meet their husband in middle school, for the women who are listening to that, who feel like they just want to be who God has created them to be, much like the LGBTQ plus community that he also took aim at. Also, too, diversity, equity, inclusion that has nothing to do with the Catholic Church. There are a ton of people who believe the exact same thing that Harrison Butker believes, but what I believe is God put us here to show the Christ in us and see the Christ in other people. And in whatever way people feel like they get an opportunity to show that, we should let them.
I was in the locker room with Harrison. My question to him would be, what about the single mothers? Like my mom, like Pauline Pope. They had 3 kids. My mother and father divorced. We moved to Atlanta. We living in Decatur. What's she supposed to do, Harrison? Like, what do you want her to do? Because now she has to support 3 children. I know she gets child support, but that's not gonna be enough to raise kids. That's emotionally, mentally, educationally, to really infuse in us what life is like. That's what I would ask Harrison. And that's what locker rooms do.
Yeah.
I would say, well, I've gone to guys, different political sides, different thought processes, different upbringings, and I put them to the side, and we ain't gotta fight. We don't gotta get all upset. We could sit down, eat lunch, and I'll be like, Harrison, man, so what do you, like my mom as a single mother of 3, how do you look at her? Because she's really working and grinding. Your grandmother really working and grinding to raise these kids. That would be my question to your point, RC, to that sect, that thought process of society. When it's not perfect, what are we supposed to do? When it's not exactly the nuclear, you know what I'm saying, that nuclear family that we know, what are we supposed to do now? We're gonna grind to figure it out.
Yeah, I think the other piece of it is too, though, like, it's okay if that's the woman's choice. If it's my choice to not have children, if it's my choice to not be married, whatever those choices is, I think we have to be in a place where we allow people the space to make those choices, and we don't get to pick for them. As the same way I think he's entitled to that opinion, he's entitled to the freedom of religion, he's entitled to the freedom of speech. People are entitled to disagree. And they can disagree loudly, or they can disagree or they can agree with him and support him by buying his jersey. Like, that's just what it is. I think, but it just talks about how leadership, how being in the same locker room connects you to people. But I think that connection could be good as well when you look at somebody like Bronny James. The conversation now is Bronny James being treated differently because he's LeBron James' son? Is he seen in a different light? Is it putting him in places that he wouldn't be if he didn't have that association?
I think nepotism is okay. It's as old, and people have taken advantage of relationships. People have leveraged their name for years, and when it happens to Black people, the conversation increases, right? I think it's okay. Bronny, he wants to separate himself from his dad and be his own person. And I love the fact that he wants to go in that direction. But I think overall, just let the kid go work. And whatever happens, however the chips fall, I think he'll be content with
but
it.
here's my question, though, Freddie T. When you say let the kid go work, what do you mean by that?
His dream is to one day make it to the NBA. He's doing these tryouts, these workouts. He made a decision, whether it was his decision or his, father, agent, or whomever's decision, the decision was made to go forward, and test my talents against the best, or supposedly the best that are gonna be up in this next draft class. From what we've seen, his workouts have been outstanding. I don't know how well he's done in the actual gameplay in terms of against the other guys, but his workouts have been good. Those are the reports that I've seen. So when I say let him go play, let him go work. Let him go and show what he has. And then however the chips fall, wherever he's drafted, that's that. I know Rich said that there won't be a two-way contract. And that's okay too. What he's saying is, my players, we're gonna go strictly off talent. Whatever he does, if he makes it, fine. If he doesn't, that's fine. But we believe in our guy, and we're gonna try to leverage what we know about this business and make sure we put Bronny in position to be successful. And if he doesn't make a roster, I think they're okay with that.
Bronny gonna get him a job easier than another player coming out of USC. Because he's LeBron James' son. His name is Bronny. They call him Bronny. LeBron and Bron, it's not James, it's not Chris. We know why he's there, we know what he did. What he had, what was he, 5, 4, and 3? Something like that, like his numbers aren't great. He's gonna get every opportunity. I'm not arguing with it, because I'm with you. I love the nepotism because it happens in the world, but not a lot for black people. So I love the nepotism of it. If LeBron can get Bronny drafted because he's LeBron's son, bro, I love it. I love it. To your point, now Bronny got to go play basketball against the best in the world. Now Bronny got to go guard Ant Edwards. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now Bronny got to do his thing. But just to get your foot in the door, it's been happening for, I would say, non-black people forever. So Bronny gets his foot in the door because I'm LeBron's son, and now you have to go perform. And if you don't do your thing, they're going to cut your ass, and they're going to say, you're not good enough to play in this league. But I love that he can have that best foot forward because his dad's LeBron James. I've watched Bronny play. I've watched him play basketball. He's decent, but he's not a monster. He's not his daddy. But
right.
Jordan's sons didn't make it. Scottie Pippen, he had a son trying to play basketball.
He's in the league.
Yeah, he's in the league.
You see what I'm saying? But he's not Scottie.
Yeah.
He got in the door. So get him in the door and see what he can do. You're gonna figure out who you are when the lights turn on and when they blow that whistle. But that's what it's gonna do. But if Bronny has a foot up because my name is Bronny James, let him get in there and see what they gotta do. I love it.
No, I just want to add to that. I think nepotism has definitely opened the door for him. And the fact that he is a offspring of one of the greatest players that have ever played the game. Potential. You know how much potential carry guys in sport. He can potentially be a pretty decent player. As long as he can insert himself somewhere at, mid-level player. And we've seen guys that are playing the G League, all these other leagues. Like, there are a lot of players in the NBA that aren't great. He doesn't have to be great. He doesn't have to be his dad. He has to fulfill his dream. And I think that's the direction that they're trying to go.
I mean, both of y'all, how many times has being who you are helped your children out?
Often.
You want to leverage that.
And what's wrong with that,
You
though?
also want your kids to know that they have to work hard as well.
Honestly, like, we're just talking about the perception of the way that people see Bronny James. I don't know if we're actually saying it's wrong that being Bronny James has helped him, or that people are saying that it's wrong. Rich Paul spoke to the nepotism that you see in the NBA already when you think about organizations. You look at a guy like James Dolan, who was called out by name by Rich Paul. We've seen, though, Austin Rivers play basketball. Austin Rivers was one of the best high school players in the country, if not the best, when he came out. Austin Rivers played amazing at Duke in his 1 year. Austin Rivers earned his way there, and no one said those things about Austin Rivers because people saw Austin Rivers as that player. We've seen Scottie Pippen's son work his way onto a roster. No one's saying that Scottie Pippen's son is being helped, because when you put Scottie Pippen's son's film on, you say, okay, this is a guy that deserves the opportunity. Like, let's be honest about Bronny. And I respect everything about LeBron James and the way Bronny James is working. You don't get to be ranked 20 to 26th coming out of high school, right? Have an actual cardiac arrest, average 4.2 and 2, and go to the combine. Somebody named Fred Taylor Jr., Channing Crowder Jr., Ryan Clark Jr. would not be afforded that opportunity. He would not be spoken about in the way Bronny James is, good or bad, because his father is not LeBron. That's the reason he is getting the opportunities that he has, because of his connection to his father, connection to the most powerful agent in basketball because of his father. Now he does have to go out and perform, but when you look at who he truly is, who he truly was as a hooper, yes, he's 100% elevated by being LeBron James's son. And it doesn't mean that he will end up being a good basketball player. But this is the way life works. This is the reason you don't have to ask for a table when you walk up to a restaurant in Miami. This is the reason that Bill Belichick's sons have jobs in the league, or a guy like Sean McVay, whose father knew another GM or whose grandfather knew another GM and had these connections, can get him in the door as an intern. I think he was a quality control guy, whether I think it was Green Bay or San Francisco, but it was part of that tree. Like, that's the way life works. Mm-hmm. It doesn't happen for us all the time. Mm-hmm. It doesn't happen in our lines of work. And so when it happens in our lines of work, the worst part about it is it's our people who have the loudest microphone against something that has been working against us our entire existence in this country. And so to me, it's time for LeBron James and Bronny James to just put up or shut up. Mm-hmm. Right? Bronny James, you go play ball, you can earn yourself a roster spot, and I don't think anything is wrong with getting a leg up because of what your last name is.
And it's going to come down to his ability. Sooner or later, get in the dough, not get in the dough, whatever happens, you got to go out there and play against. Can he guard the best? Can he score on the best? Yeah, and that's what I love about sports, is that to hell with it, sooner or later, you got to line up against somebody that's a dog, and you got to be a dog too.
I guess it brought this to my mind. Do you think those players will be equally as salty, the male players, equally as salty towards Bronny as the women players seem to be towards Caitlin?
I would be. If I was a young player, I would be, I ain't gonna lie, I would feel funny about Bronny. If I'm an All-American, but every time I turn on ESPN, they're showing your workouts, and I'm one of the best in the world, I'm gonna go and try to embarrass you because I would feel salty. And it seems like the WNBA players are feeling a certain way about Caitlin.
Oh, I 100% disagree that the WNBA players are salty with Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
I 100% disagree.
You seen the pics they said on that girl?
And so let me say this, right? It's not just Caitlin Clark to me. I believe it's this entire class of WNBA draftees led by Caitlin Clark. When you look at the way Angel Reese has improved views of the Chicago sky, it's this, what's happening in WNBA is what happened when Magic and Bird went to the NBA. Mm-hmm. The NBA was on time delay at that point. You had this dude from French Lick, you had this dude from Michigan that played in the epic NCAA tournament that now were drafted by the two most storied franchises in the NBA, and they put up, they showed out. Magic Johnson won it his rookie year. And so you have all these things happen, and now the NBA uses those two to build, and then they get to Michael Jordan. That's what the WNBA is doing right now. But I don't like the fact that because women are playing hard, we're calling it salty or petty or messy. Because when Michael Jordan started becoming Michael Jordan was getting clotheslined because that's the competitive nature of an athlete. Because the same way when we were in high school and we knew that they had a dude on the other team who was a 4-star or a 5-star, well, we were too old for that, but whatever they were, it was my job when I played Reggie Wayne. I know if I go out and Reggie Wayne don't catch a ball, that the Miamis and the LSUs and all these people are going to see me because of how they see Reggie Wayne. So to me, I would have to think that the women in the NBA are happy that now things have elevated around the visibility of the game, which these young women have allowed them to have. But hell yeah, I'm gonna play defense. Hell yeah, I'm gonna set picks. Hell yeah, I'm gonna go at the head. That's what you're supposed to do because that's what competitors do. And also the other piece of making this a black and a white thing, the one thing when I look at the women's game, they bond on being women. Purple, green, brown, black, whatever they are, they bond on that. They bond on the fact that we want to improve this game, we want to improve our circumstances, and these young ladies can help us do it, but they gotta earn it. It's the same way in our sport. And so I think the thing that everybody should be happy about is last year, 2 years ago, we probably ain't talking about WNBA on the pivot. And the sort of conversations that are being had about the women's game now, whether good or bad, is positive, and it's a large part to those young ladies that were drafted this year.
Oh, yeah, and I'm with you, because Angel Reese just got suplexed. In a minute, I saw her get dumped twice by another lady.
Alyssa Thompson.
Yep. Dumped her. Back leg, grabbed her, slammed on it, and all that stuff. You got to prove you belong here, which you have to. So to the Bronny conversation, coming back to Caitlin and Angel and all them, you got to prove to me as a veteran that you belong to be here. The media can't make you a star. You have to earn your stardom on the court. And that's what I'm saying. So not saying it's jealousy or anything like that. It's, I got to test you. When you get them young first-round picks come into the league, you know how it was. You just brought it up. Like, you line up against Moss, Andre Johnson, Freddie T in the backfield. I got to prove that I can tackle Fred. I got to prove that Ryan's not about to break my ribs across the middle when I get in the league. So not jealousy from it, fellas, but I think that the veterans in this league, the top dogs, the top women that are playing right now, you have to prove to me that you're worth all this hoopla, because the WNBA hasn't had a lot of hoopla. It hadn't had a lot of visibility until these young girls come in. So Caitlin and Angel and this class is bringing a lot of visibility to the league, but the ladies that have been grinding for years in this, you gotta show me you belong here, and that's part of the game.
That's what it's supposed to be, though.
It should always be like that, especially when they come with that sort of attention. They're like, all right, I can't wait to get a piece of you. I'm ready to test you. But you also have some of these women that believe they were equally as good or better when they came out. Well, the timing that they came out, like social media didn't exist. All these other different outlets did not exist, so they weren't able to bring that sort of, fandom along with them. The Caitlin effect, that shit's real.
Yeah.
Angel Reese, what she's doing, that shit's real. And because of that attention, those two have had the most media attention on them. I think they probably are the two players with the biggest targets on their back in this rookie class, and those vets want a piece of that. The vets certainly, in my opinion, sounded a bit salty, even in some of their comments. Even if they aren't salty, I believe that they understand I would have liked to have this same sort of attention follow me, because I believe I'm better than you.
Lisa Leslie, Candace Parker, Maya Moore, we can go, Diana Taurasi, we can go down the list. Right now, Asia Wilson, bro, she's the baddest thing dribbling the ball right now in the WNBA.
Have you heard Asia
but
say
she
anything?
does not have the attention that Caitlin
and she won't say anything.
And
she
Angel.
know what she brings to the table. If you that person, like, you don't always have to say something. You're just gonna show up and you're gonna bust at. You're gonna ball out. And that's, a lot of times, that's all it takes. But you have other people that, when they know they have great ability, then they make these little side remarks and comments. That's what I mean by salty. Like,
I think
there's a little bit of animosity.
What I don't like, though,
if it's not salty, it's a little animosity in the whole approach and how the media has presented these particular players. And I think that's okay. It's okay, but I mean,
the problem is this, though, right? So the
true.
problem is this. People looked at what Diana Taurasi said about Caitlin Clark during the tournament as hate, right? As animosity, but it wasn't. Diana Taurasi, who's one of the greatest basketball players that's ever lived, one of the greatest women hoopers that we've ever seen, said it's going to be an adjustment period. She won't do the exact same things right away in the NBA. Well, that's true, because what Caitlin Clark was doing in college was historic. She's not putting up the same number. She's having more difficulty. She's turning the ball over. When you looked at Diana Taurasi's comments, and everyone got on her because they said it would be an adjustment period for Caitlin Clark, she was speaking from the experience and wisdom that we speak of when we are talking about football. And she's saying, yeah, just like LeBron James, just like Michael Jordan, who end up being all-time greats, even though they were good as rookies, they had to grow. So yes, she's going to hit picks that are harder than what she ever saw in college. Yes, she's going to turn the ball over and lose basketball games. Yes, she's not going to shoot as high a percentage. She's going to have an adjustment period. And people took that as hate and animosity when it was just Diana Taurasi's truth that we should listen to. And then the other piece of it is, too, it's like, I love the way that Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are approaching this, because they're the two people that aren't complaining. They're the two people that are just going out and play. And whether it's LeBron James, who feels the need to defend Caitlin Clark, I don't think he has to. Whether it's Charles Barkley, who feels the need to defend Caitlin Clark, I don't think that he has to. Because when you listen to her, when you listen to Cameron Brink, when you listen to Angel Reese, who says, I'm a rookie, that's what they're supposed to do. These young women understand the sport. These young women understand that it's competitive, and they're actually competing at a high level. They're getting better every single week. And if anybody needs to look at what is the overwhelming feeling of Caitlin Clark, remember this. Caitlin Clark put more butts in seats in the Staples Centers in one appearance than LeBron James did the entire 2023-24 season. Like, that's her effect. That's how people really feel about it. It ain't about black and white. It ain't about vet and rookie. It's about that she's an absolute superstar. And anytime you play against a superstar, you want to go make your name. Whether they got it, whether you feel the way they got it is correct or not. And so, like, I just hate the entire narrative that's being spun around it all.
Yeah, man, stop coddling people, man. These are top athletes. Caitlin Clark, she just got a $20 million deal from Nike, ain't it?
Yeah.
She got
20 mil. She got a bigger shoe deal than top players in the world. Let her live her life and let her figure out how to play ball. Why do we treat WNBA so different than we treat NBA? We never say, oh, the young guy comes in an NBA. Oh, why are they setting hard picks on him? Why are they throwing it? Because the OGs want to do it. The women are just as athletic and just as good and just as dynamic, and whatever you want to say, all the words and the adjectives we use for the men, they right there. Caitlin gonna get her ass whooped by some OGs. Angel gonna get her ass whooped by some OGs, and they gotta earn their place. And let them earn their place. They making good money, they're professionals now. Why do we treat the women so different than we treat the men? I don't get it.
I'm with you. I think I think that adjustment window has shrunk. She just went off for 30 a couple nights ago.
And they both gonna ball.
So I believe she's finding a way, but I think overall it's great for the WNBA. I think eventually those women will have an increased pay scale, which they will all at some point applaud whatever, movement, TikToks or whatever that help them increase that. And I think they all deserve it because they all work, as you just mentioned, equally as hard as the men. Much like the college athletes who are able to get paid now by the NCAA, and that they're gonna be able to take $20 million a year and give it to each D1 program. Damn, we're a little old, huh?
I need to check. We can't get no check?
Nah.
We aged out?
We missed that window. I think it's 2014.
Yeah,
I mean, was 2014.
I think it was always headed this way. I think when you look at Mark Emmert and his unwillingness to be involved in progress, his unwillingness to, instead of being reactive, be proactive in where he saw the game needed to go, not where the game was going. When you looked at the disparity between what these universities make, what their coaches make, how they could have the ability to move and influence their careers and lives in any way that they want to, and the players didn't have that. And so you could feel this growing. NIL was sort of the wild, wild west. It had no rules, it had no regulations. I think this is their way of trying to say, okay, we can at least put this in some sort of box where we have a direction. The players should have always been played. Deontay Thompson is a kid I trained. He said, nah, coach, when I go home, after I done got picks against Louisville, I didn't risk my body. I want the same steaks you got. I ain't supposed to be eating oodles and noodles. But, he's from Orange, Texas, but, that is the truth.
Yeah.
What these young men were doing for these universities, when you look at people like the Fab Five, you think of Reggie Bush, who just got his Heisman Trophy back, especially the football program starting with it, that's how most of these universities run. That's how most of these athletic organizations and systems and sports can pay their coaches because of what they're able to generate. And so I do believe that this was a long time coming. Now, to me, it's about who helps the player. Once you make it to where the players can be paid in that manner, there needs to be a body of people. There needs to be some board that are going to advocate for the players. that are going to say at the minimum, players should be getting this. At the minimum, players should be treated this way. Is this going to move players into have to sign certain contracts that says, okay, I'm going to play in every bowl game. I'm going to play throughout or I will not transfer. And so I do believe that now that they've put it up on the universities to pay players, players will be treated like employees.
Right.
So they're going to need somebody who has their best intentions to speak for them, to stand out front for them, because I believe this is going to be the NCAA's and the university's way of taking back power. Kind of include this in the way we see CBA negotiations. How do I regain as much power as I possibly can because I've lost it in one way? And I believe this is it. So I do believe that players need to be careful. Players' families need to be careful because this could be a slippery slope into colleges and universities saying, you get money now, I can put you back in that chokehold I used to have you in.
Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%, RC, on all of it. And I don't know if it's limited to, Power 5 schools. Or
It's Power 5.
Power 5 only. I would love to see the entire, inside of that deal in the language. But I think even more importantly than being paid, a lot of players, they leave with these lifelong injuries. They sustain injuries that are going to affect them their entire lives, whether they make it to the next level or not, because let's be honest, only a small percentage of guys make it to that next level. So for the guys that don't, what do they do when they leave college sports? I know guys that left college that still are suffering from injuries from when I was in college in 1994. A lot of my friends, they developed spinal injuries and all these other medical. That's the part that I want to see if they're including medical benefits for these players within that compensation package. So I'm just looking forward to actually reading the language and what's inside. How does that entire compensation package look?
Yeah, it'll be, as I read it now and as, like you're saying, to get into it, I think they should put it in a fund for them. I think that once you start getting, once whatever those numbers are, you get those numbers up, you put it in the fund, and they can, try to teach them how to have money. Because if you gave me, I don't know what the number, let's say 20 racks,
right,
30 racks, 40 racks a year. You give me 40 racks when I was 18 years old, I'm about to be at Palace in Gainesville, popping bottles and throwing money because my mind wasn't ready to have that type of money. So you put it in the fund, and now you can teach them how money grows. You can teach them how to invest in different things like that. But that's what they have to do for that. But I also want NIL to continue because this is for everybody. As I read it, the starting quarterback, the All-American quarterback at Florida, is making the same amount as the backup water polo player. I want the kids to understand how life is and how if you ball out, you're gonna make more money too.
Right.
So the NIL should continue. If you're a monster, you're gonna be a monster, you're gonna make more money than the backup guard. The starting quarterback's making more money than the 8th best offensive lineman on the team, and that's how real life is too. So I want NIL to stay there as a part of this compensation package from the NCAA too.
Yeah, but NIL, minus the collectives. I think all collectives should be dismantled.
For what?
The collectives, because some schools can raise more money than other schools. But if you turn around here, if you come here and you say, everybody's gonna have a shot to get paid, all these schools are gonna get a $20 million compensation package, now they have to operate from within that. Well, that's recruiting and playing the players that are actually on the roster right now. The collectives, Florida probably can raise $20 million, or LSU can raise $50 million. That's not necessarily leveling off the playing field because now I can go and recruit better and more players because I have a stronger collective. You know what I'm saying? So I think the collective should be dismantled as part of it. And this is just me wishfully thinking for conversation piece. But to add on what you were saying, I truly believe, and I've always said this, our governor down in Florida, I believe he made it mandatory for graduation from public high schools in Florida. The criteria is you have to pass a financial literacy course. I believe that's what should come along with this compensation package. You said these players should be taught how to use their money. Mm-hmm. Financial literacy is key. It's gonna help them in the long run. Even what Draymond said the other day about players, it's not set up for players to sustain or have wealth after they're done. I disagree with that comment because you make so much money. It's about learning. It's about financial literacy, understanding what to do with that money, how to invest it, so you can create these nest eggs. So I would like to see that being added to the pay scale for schools.
Damn, Freddie T, boy. He gonna talk to you about some financial literacy. My dog can't count, can't break up 100 the right way, but he gonna tell you.
Come on, bro. Y'all know that was a slippage of the tongue.
Hey, he gonna tell you.
How long y'all gonna punish me for
He gonna tell y'all my
50.
numbers.
Hey, but I was trying to say give more than 100% into that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but, you know, back to money, fellas, I just want to put this out there. I'm the newest to betting. So far, only one of us are 2 for 2 on our Fanatics Sportsbook parlays.
You hitting him in the head.
I'm leading people to the Fanatics Sportsbook promised land, and y'all boys over here hindering their opportunity.
I ain't no Kyrie wasn't gonna do nothing.
to make some hay. But, you know, some of the football stuff is starting to come out. And, you know, there's a team that we may see on one of the longest running sports programs in the world in training camp, whose quarterback is Caleb Williams. And they say Caleb has sort of been struggling in OTAs, but they have him at 8.5 games. They also have Anthony Richardson at 8.5 games. Looking at both of those two, who do you think can win more than 8.5?
I think Ant, not even being a Gator homer, I think Ant and Steichen, because he's smart with it, I think Ant and Steichen can win 8.5. I'll go over 8.5 for the Colts.
Man, that's tough. I think I can agree with you on that. I like the Colts go over 8.5. Yeah.
Under on the Bears.
The thing is this, though. Ryan Poles has put Caleb Williams in position to succeed. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, Cole Kmet. I mean, you go out and you draft Rome, one of our favorite players. I think Chicago has an opportunity to win a ton of games this year. The schedule is set up for them to win a ton of games. And Caleb is going to struggle early because he wants to see what he can do. And I believe moving forward, he'll understand, okay, I got to pull back here. I can throw this. I can do that, not do this. I believe that he's going to be really good this year. And if I'm somebody who has followed what we've been doing with Fanatics Sportsbook parlays, I'm going to go with RC. Because right now, RC is undefeated. And all they got to do is go out, download the app. And they can be a part of RC's greatness, too.
Only Super Bowl winner, too. We heard
it. Didn't someone say the Bears were plus 4,000 on the Fanatics Sportsbook to win the Super Bowl? Mm-hmm. See, like, that's something I can put $10 on. I ain't going to lose sleep over it.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be dope. But I'm not doing it. I'm going to bet those. I would definitely use my $10 in a more positive way on a team that's much different than that one.
When we get back to Jersey, I'll put $10 on your sportsbook app for you.
I appreciate you. Yeah, I got Michael Rubin money now. So
I'll be on the Fanatics app all the time, so I'm going to let you see my history.
Yeah, I don't want to see your history, ever. But to finish, though, man, Grayson Murray, a PGA Tour professional. He's at 2 PGA wins, took his life at the age of 30. I don't know why. Maybe it's because we have more information. It seems like we're hearing more and more people are choosing to end their lives for whatever reasons that may be. I can't understand, or I can't even begin to imagine the pain you have to be in to make that decision. We spoke to Drew when he took us through his ordeal of living through his suicide attempt. You know, I think you just say check on your people, man.
To get to that point, at some venture, you should have someone to, like, talk to. And to your point, man, check on people, because you don't know if you're that person to others. You don't know. We've talked in the past, we've talked a number of times about, you know, I even said it, like, the funny guy, still ask him, is he doing okay? Like, ask your people, you doing okay? Because to get to that point, I spoke on Junior Seau. I spoke on Vontae Davis, guys that I've lost that I wish I could have, you know, I wish I would have asked them. So it's a tough place being a part of it, but really, man, ask people they're doing okay. Ask people are you good? And also, if something's going on inside you, man, get help. get help, talk to people, talk to someone, ask for something, ask for anything, man. Don't be so, egotistical, whatever that comes from that you don't want to ask that, let that go. Help yourself and help others. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is, man, whenever I hear of someone taking their own life, I sort of think of two different things. First, it's always about that person. I try to think about what the torment must have been like, what the pain must have been like, what the depression must be like, to get to a point with yourself where you believe never breathing again, never opening your eyes again is better than what happens when you do. To imagine the darkness of that place is even scary to begin. And then I think of the people that they leave behind. The questions that they'll have. Could I have said something else? Could I have been there for them more? Why didn't I know they were going through this? And his parents, Grayson Murray's parents, released a statement, you know? And I think about my babies, and you guys know this, no matter how old they get, they're still your babies. No matter how old they get, you feel responsible for them. And the unimaginable pain of putting one of your children in a casket, especially when the cause of death is suicide, I just don't know how you possibly move forward without that haunting you forever. And so to his family, our thoughts and prayers are definitely with them. To anyone who is having suicidal thoughts or who is thinking of putting themselves out of the misery they live every day, just pick up your phone, dial 988. I think it's a very real thing. And I think it's a very real thing that people who have never been in that place can't fully understand. So please take time to talk to somebody who can. This has been The Pivot, a part of Fanatics. Next time you see us, we'll be fresh off the White House, and hopefully Chan gets in. We see y'all on Tuesday.
I'm coming, Joe!
We did it, Joe!
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up. On the mission, got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On this vision, I can trust. Limitless. Take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up.